Hello. Today we're going to revisit a 6th grade assignment called Moon, Mist, Tree, and Hills. However, we will not be shading it, not in a traditional way, but using hatching. Here we have our tree with hatching on the left side to indicate shadow. Our source of light, the moon, is on the right. So the part of every branch facing the moon is bright, and the part of every branch facing away from the moon is dark. The hills lay one on top of the other, and the moon can rise behind those. So here we have a good example of overlapping, taking our eye back into space. In the top third of the picture, we have a meandering line going behind the branches, representing mist, which is water vapor. Let's get started. I've already drawn it lightly in pencil, and that's always a good way to start. In this lower left corner, I'm going to show you what 2 letters I'm going to use to make my tree look naturalistic, to make it look like it came out of your backyard. I'm going to use Y's and V's. Every time I have a Y, I'll have to put a V inside. So we're going to alternate between Y's and V's. Here comes my first Y. The lines run parallel for a bit, but then they branch out. One goes to the left and one goes to the right. And that's my Y. I have to take my V and put it inside my Y. So find the very bottom point on the V, and in this area where the lines of the Y diverge or go apart, put a dot. And growing out of that dot, you have your V. The arms of the V, right and left, don't have to be exactly the same. The V represents a space between branches. Here, I think I see another Y, which means I get to have another V. Here's one arm of my V, and here's another. You can take your branches right off the page. Every time I make a Y, and there's one right now, I have to put a V inside. So take the point at the bottom of the V, find out where you want to put it, and from that point, create the left and right sides of new branches. Another Y, another V. Again, the branches can go right off the page, or if you'd rather, the Y's and V's can come together at a point to simulate the fine little branches that sometimes terminate and form the ends of the tree. Here's a V inside a Y, and here's another V to complete that branch. And here's one more Y and one more V, and I'm going to break that branch of that tree because sometimes in storms that does happen. Coming from behind my tree, moving left to right, since that's how I draw, I'm going to have 2 hills. Notice how the part of the hill that is hidden behind the tree is not drawn. My moon can rise behind my hills. The moon can be whatever shape you want it to be. And finally, my mist. A meandering line, like an S-curve, goes back and forth. Rivers, as they move across a landscape, meander too. A meandering line is not a straight line. So this is a type of line we've never really practiced. It does move in one direction, but never in a straight way. And because clouds and mist, both water vapor, take whatever form you want to give them, shape your mist any way you'd like. The last thing I'm going to do On the left side of my trunk and on the left side of each of my branches is carefully place and drag my marker tip to suggest shading. Marker is great, but shading with it can be tough. And the only way you'll be able to shade with marker is using hatching, cross-hatching, or some other line technique that allows you to suggest that the value is dropping, that shadows are falling. You can see how methodical and careful I am with each and every mark. And as the branches get smaller, less wide, the marks too get shorter. The interval of space between lines is kept uniform, kept the same. There's a predictability in the start and stop and placement of each line. And if you haven't noticed, the lines change direction with the branch. In that way, I am sensitive to the movement through the branches and their change in direction, and I'm letting my audience, the viewer, know that. Almost done. You might find this tedious, very hard to complete. But once your skill level is built so that you can take this time and trouble to do it right, I think that's a good reward. You'll have satisfaction in having done it well. One more small branch to shade. The lines need only go maybe halfway across, if that. And I am done. And there you have it. Moon, mist, tree, and hills. Now, you try.